Dear colleagues, let me present to your attention the results of research on the topic Historical and Cultural Potential of Urban Riverside Areas, Methods for Conducting Analysis, Planning, and Preserving. An explosion at the Kakhovska hydropower plant dam in 2023 as well as its construction in the 1950s are related to several painful stories in the history of Ukrainian cultural heritage. The dam's explosion on June 6 led to extraordinary consequences, along with the artificial flooding of more than 80 communities, unfortunately, with human losses, long-term damage to industrial and agricultural conditions, and a loss of water supply. But, among others, the most sensitive objects affected by this disaster appeared to be the numerous historical and cultural heritage artifacts. Next day after the detonation, about 600 square kilometers of the Kherson region went underwater. But we will focus on two examples, Nova Kakhovka settlement and the village of Oleshki. Among damaged objects, there are so-called stone embroideries of residential buildings in the city of Nova Kakhovka, unique works of the Boychikists art school members, completed in 1953–55. Another example is the flooding of the house museum of the Ukrainian naive artist Polina Rayko in the village of Oleshki. As you understand, this is far from a complete list of the destruction caused. The blow-up of the hydropower plant dam and the leakage of water from the reservoir opened to the public a layer of history previously buried underwater in the 1950s. Due to the dam's construction in 1955 to 1957, the water level of the Dnieper River has been raised to 16 meters, and a significant area of approximately 2,000 square kilometers has been buried below the water. The reservoir was located in the middle of the Ukrainian steppe, a place that witnessed many historical events and received the name Great Meadow, Veliki Lug. As a result, the artificial Kakhovsky reservoir covered with water such places of historical memory of Ukrainians as the Zaporizhzhia Sich of the 16th to 18th centuries, including Tomakivska Sich, Bazavlutska Sich, Mikhotynska Sich, Chortomlinska Sich, Kamianska Sich, Nova, Pidpilnetska Sich. 6 Siches of 8 existed in different periods. After the brutal demolition of the dam in 2023, many previously hidden parts of these places became accessible to scientists and the general public again, which gives another chance to reinvestigate and rediscover these gems of Ukrainian cultural and historical legacy. Such examples illustrate the problem of developing new ways of uncovering the historical context that facilitates the revitalization of freshwater ecosystems. So, a vast layer of the historical and cultural heritage of the Ukrainian land is connected with the historical river, the Dnieper River. The same can be said about other countries, regions, and cities, where many historical events, cultural and architectural treasures, etc., are connected through the centuries with natural watercourses, rivers and natural reservoirs, seas. Today we observe a significant change in the paradigm of attitude towards natural water bodies. The paradigm of mutual complementation and the modern way of interaction of humans with coastal and water areas, as a theoretical methodological model and way of understanding the phenomenon of water in nature, in landscape architecture, and in urban planning, determines changes in public attitude to natural water objects. From the standpoint of understanding natural processes in water ecosystems and the need for adaptation to climate change, taking into account the determining role of natural water bodies in the historical, cultural, and civilizational development of the territories and peoples who inhabit them. As a result, awareness of the growing role of natural water bodies in the civilizational process of integration and sustainable development of territories. The provision of the right to safe and clean drinking water has become a universal reality to sustain life as stated in the 2010 United National General Assembly resolution. It was found in the research that the reserves of drinking water in the liquid phase, consisting of surface, rivers, lakes, swamps, and underground natural waters, make up only 1% of the total water reserves on Earth, which are needed by the entire population of the planet, which is steadily increasing. Therefore, the protection and restoration of freshwater reserves on the planet are extremely urgent issues that need to be solved by all possible means. It was also revealed that the river network is the most vulnerable element of the city's natural landscape. The current state of rivers in cities is reaching critical limits. There is a difference in urban planning policy regarding the full-flowing, main rivers of the city and the general degradation, and sometimes the loss of numerous small rivers and watercourses inflows of full-flowing rivers within the city limits. Such a phenomenon is unfortunately widespread and is a characteristic of many cities in different countries of the world. To improve the architectural and landscape organization, coastal territories should be considered as single, integral structural and territorial elements of the planning of cities and settlements, which leads to the need to develop a comprehensive strategy for their further development that is aimed at solving modern settlement problems, development and compliance with the criteria of their ecological and sustainable development, protection and restoration of natural resources and improvement of the quality of life of the population with proper protection of urban areas from possible natural disasters, etc. Also, project decisions should be based on the principles of hierarchical planning organization of natural water bodies in combination with territorial continuity of coastal and water areas. Compliance of architectural and landscape organization of coastal and water areas with natural processes in water ecosystems. One of the possible ways to receive the answer to the raised queries is given in the proposed methodology of architectural and landscape organization of coastal areas, the essence of which lies in considering the following aspects: the basics of engineering and technological solutions, which related to adaptation requirements to climate change, the functional and planning requirements and landscape composition techniques, which provide for the organization of planning decisions, with mandatory consideration of the historical and cultural potential of these territories. To achieve the sustainability of the development of these territories under modern technological requirements, it is proposed to create a new level of information and digital control and management of the coastal territories in the city and their following development. The method of introducing the criterion of the presence of a natural water object of heritage is aimed at raising the status of these territories and is directed to more accurate protection of the historical and cultural heritage, including within the framework of UNESCO. Based on the identification of the historical and cultural significance of natural water bodies, when planning coastal and water areas as a single territorial massif, it is recommended to take into account their historical and cultural potential and urban planning prerequisites for attracting natural landscapes of water ecosystems, shores, river valleys, coasts, etc., to the composition of national monuments of architecture, history, culture, landscape, with further inclusion in the list of UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The unique historical and cultural value of the rivers in a city, existing, degraded, or even lost ones, have a great significance to modern urban planning practice. This potential must be used as a guideline for renovating natural riverbeds in cities. The proposed method of identifying natural water objects of cultural heritage is based on the typology of natural water objects and their parts as part of heritage objects, identified from the entire current list of UNESCO World Heritage Objects as of 2017. The methodical approach to identifying natural water objects of cultural heritage involves 3 stages: general preparation, analytical and search, and comparative. More information can be found in the monograph Architectural and Landscape Organization of Coastal and Water Areas, published in 2023. The effectiveness of the application of this method consists in identifying the unifying role of a natural water object in the formation of historical and architectural zones of the location of existing and lost monuments of culture, history, archaeology, and architecture. In the substantiated historical and cultural development of the city's blue-green infrastructure. In improving the tourist attractiveness of coastal zones and districts. Thus, the method allows not only to expand the understanding of the role of a natural water body in the historical development of local territories, but also to find a practical embodiment of architectural and landscape practice with many advantages both in economic and social terms. On the examples of 4 European cities, Florence, in Italy, Paris, in France, Budapest, in Hungary, and Kyiv, in Ukraine, we figure out that the rivers are a unifying factor of territories in historical cities. Each of these cities has a unique relation with the river. In the research we also determine that the European experience gives the following options: the river, or the section of the river, is protected within the boundaries of the historical city, for example, Florence. River banks within certain limits in the city, Budapest, Paris. Coastal areas are protected within certain limits, excluding the river and the other shore, Kyiv. To implement the principles of improving the architectural and landscape organization of coastal territories, regarding them as single, integral structures as well as hierarchical planning organization, territorial continuity, and compliance with natural processes in water ecosystems, it is needed to clarify the possibilities of modern water technologies which are aimed at reducing the city's water consumption, water purification, etc. One of the possible options is the combination of these technologies with the usage of green planning solutions. With this aim, an author's adaptive model of the blue-green infrastructure of a riparian city has been developed, which will allow combining urban technologies and urban planning solutions with the historical and cultural heritage of the territories. Such methodical approaches will allow a more justified, systematic, and comprehensive use and application of green and water technologies. The most demanded are rain gardens, green roofs, vertical gardens, parks with the function of water management, and water basins, with the function of protecting territories from flooding, as well as various innovative approaches to water technologies, starting with sponge city strategy to separate approaches to rain runoff design and protection of plants' roots, etc. Blue-green technologies and sustainable urban practices align with Agenda 2030's comprehensive goals for a sustainable future. Must also be included in restoring and supporting local freshwater ecosystems of rivers even within the city limits. This is only one of the possible options and ways of developing the urban structure, protecting the heritage, and relating the ecological balance of the area in the case of the river system to urban, populated areas. It is difficult to determine how effective the proposed proposals will be. The answer can be obtained in practice after the restoration of the degraded river as a local natural freshwater ecosystem started with individual sections of its channel. In my opinion, when the new and existing water and green technologies are used comprehensively and consistently, for example, in the proposed model of the organization of the blue-green infrastructure of the city along the river, it is reasonable to expect a stable long-term effect. In this case, we will be one step closer to a sustainable city. In conclusion, it should be emphasized that the revealing role and significance of rivers and their riverside areas in the architectural and landscape organization of cities and other settlements are among the most topical issues in modern urban and landscape practice. Nowadays we witness a significant shift in the way humans perceive and interact with natural water bodies, which results in a change of a paradigm of mutual human-environment complementation and a modern approach to coastal and water areas development. This new perspective encompasses various aspects, such as understanding natural processes in water ecosystems, adapting to climate change, recognizing the historical and cultural significance of natural water bodies, and acknowledging their role in the integration and sustainable development of territories. Globally, there is a growing awareness of the importance of natural water bodies in shaping our civilization and fostering harmonious development. Thus, it's the answer to one question posed at the beginning: the historical watercourses of cities can be considered as the driving force of the cultural integration of society on the modern development of civilization if to pay them appropriate attention. Thank you very much for your attention.